So you're telling me this is how the girls turn up? Then I'ma stick with the girls.
You better talk nice to me. I'm in your head, I invest. That's a short-term fee. Got it locked, I'm the best. Well, at least that's what I think.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Girl Social. We are your hosts. I am Taylor Kessler.
And I am Sydney McPhail.
Guys, we've missed you. It's been a whole week, but it feels like so much longer than that.
It really does, because I picked Taylor up to come over here, and I was like, why does it feel like it's been a lifetime since we've seen each other?
I feel like it has.
You go to Miami, and that's it.
I'm done. I'm now a Miami girl. No, I'm not.
Oh my gosh, we need to do a recap of your trip.
Yeah, we can.
Let's do it.
So Miami was a lot of fun. We were there for Gymshark Lift Miami. I was supposed to say Lift LA, but that was the last one. This is Lift Miami. And it was so cool. They had sold over 20,000 tickets. We gave over 8,000 bags of sour strips. We met so many of Max's subscribers and people that watch the podcast, our podcast and Max's podcast. It was really cool. I know. I wish you were there. It was a really cool thing to be like, oh my God, I love the podcast. It's so cool. I feel like I'm having girl talk, and I enjoyed that. I know it was really sweet to see. Exhausted.
Yeah.
I was exhausted. I'm somebody that I can put out a lot of energy, but once my social battery is dead, it's done for. And we had to go to dinner. We didn't have to. We went to dinner every night. I was like, we had to go.
Well, kind of, because it's not like you can make food.
Yeah, we can't make food. But yeah, we went to dinner every night. The first night we went to STK. It was real fun. Got a little drunky. Didn't mean to. Just happened. It was a great time. Then the second day was the actual day of the event. Then we went to Kiki on the river, which I thought I was not going to be able to go to, because they called me and they're like, oh yeah, we have to cancel your reservations because you we sold out the restaurant. And I was like, what do you mean you sold out the restaurant? I've had these reservations for 2 months. What are you talking about? And luckily they were like, oh no, we only sold part of the restaurant, so we can still host y'all. Guys, food was good, but vibes immaculate, but everybody was on top of everybody. Tables were crammed together, I guess, to fit people in. And we look over to the side of us to see who's at the party. It was on the other side of Kiki. Floyd Mayweather.
You're lying.
And the money team.
Oh my God.
I know. I was like, oh, that's cool.
So
I was like, that's nice.
Why did they open up the other side?
I think because probably so many people had reservations, and they were like, shoot,
you almost.
I know. I was like, shoot.
But so they're like, sorry, Floyd.
Yeah, sorry, Floyd. But no, I think maybe Floyd only wanted that side, because then it's that one's on the beach and by the water, and you see all the yachts pulling up. So I think that's the cooler side. But I kid you not, think of a children's table at a dinner, when you do Thanksgiving dinner and you have a children's table. There was 7 of us at this table, and I was it was literally the meeting of the small table. It was the smallest table I've ever seen in my entire life, and they slammed 7 of us in this table, and I was like,
you're there.
I was like, great, love that for me. But it was really cool. I mean, Drake raps about it, so you obviously it has to be cool.
That's what that's about?
Kiki, do you love me?
I thought that was about a woman.
Nah, it's about Kiki.
What about Sexy Fish?
Oh,
that looked so nice.
Sexy Fish, probably my favorite place we went in Miami. It was my first time in Miami. So good. The food was amazing. The vibes, amazing. Everything was beautiful. It was you're underwater. It was so cool. Food, everything was so good. I loved it.
Makes me want to go to Miami.
Yeah. I think I'd go back because I would like to explore a little bit more, because we didn't really get to do much, just obviously the event, then dinner. But it was a good time. I had fun. The weather was stunning.
I feel like Miami is like Vegas. I could be completely wrong, but it's one of those places you get in and you get out.
Yes, I was I am not going to a club. I will not. I was I'm fine to go to a lounge if I want to do a lounge, but I was I am not. You will not catch me at 11. You will not catch me at Live. I'm going to my bed. I'm going to go live it up in my bed. I was I cannot. I was they were we should go out. And I was no.
Count me out. You're sorry, I have plans.
In bed. To go to sleep. Yeah, no. It was super fun. I would love to go back and actually experience
true Miami.
Not true Miami, because I still don't want to go to the clubs.
Yeah.
But I would like to go and see things, go shopping in Miami and go get lunches in Miami, go to the beach and do all that fun stuff. I think that would be really cool.
I feel like the people that like even the people that live in Miami are starting to feel that way about Miami though. Cause I like the only thing that you can think of is going out.
Yeah.
Going to the clubs.
Yeah, I don't think of anything but like going out and spending a lot of money.
I've only been to Miami once, but I was like in middle school. So I don't know that counts.
I
like,
mean, it counts.
I was there.
You were
I just,
there, but you were not partaking in anything. Miami is so expensive.
Yes.
I Uber Eats myself a Starbucks because I was a little tired after STK, and that was the next morning.
How much?
$50.
You're lying, Taylor. One coffee?
One coffee. And it wasn't even that good.
That should be illegal.
I almost just took myself out. I was like,
Jail time.
jail time. She's in jail.
No, for Starbucks and Uber Eats, that's insane.
Crazy. And then Max was like getting burned because of the sun, and he wouldn't listen to me to put on sunscreen. I ordered him sunscreen. That was like $40 for a $7 bottle of sunscreen.
They get you with the fees.
Yeah. But I was like, only in Miami. Because I Uber Eats Starbucks to like our house before.
Yeah, it's never that.
It's like $16.
Yeah, like it's expensive, but it's
not $50.
Understandable. Like you can kind of justify it.
Yeah, not $50 to go quite literally 0.7 miles down the street.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
That's how I always feel about Chipotle. That's DoorDash, but
yeah,
like Ryan and I will get Chipotle and DoorDash it. Well, because that's like who the app is like affiliated with.
Yeah.
And it's like $100 for me to get like a bowl and him to get like a burrito.
Okay, that was like Chick-fil-A when we were packing to leave and we were supposed to get dinner with y'all last time. I Uber Eats us Chick-fil-A, and I spent like $50 on like a sandwich, a nugget, and fry.
It's just, yeah.
And I'm like, what?
And like, yes, the convenience is amazing.
But those fees.
Because you're like, oh, it's not bad. Like, okay, $28. And then you go to checkout.
I'm like, ah!
I'm like, wait a minute.
A jump scare. Yeah. I'm like, hold on, wait. I just spent what on nuggets?
On nuggets?
Not on nuggets.
That's funny because I almost got Chick-fil-A last night.
Ooh.
Since
yummy.
Ryan was gone, but then I...
You stopped.
Yeah.
What'd you eat?
A BLT.
Oh, that sounds so good though. I love a good sandwich. I can't wait to eat after this. I'm so hungry.
I know. I'm starving.
So excited. Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
I was going to say highs and lows.
Highs and lows. Let's hear. How was your week? What were your highs? What were your lows?
I don't know that I really had a crazy low. I have been like kind of tired. I was thinking about this last night because I know you had said I feel like my cortisol's high.
Yeah.
And
I still think it is. I think
out of nowhere. I don't know. I don't want to like jump to conclusions, but one of the biggest indicators for your cortisol being high is like
exhaustion.
Like you're tired in the morning and you're wide awake at night.
That's how I feel.
Yes. And this past like, I don't know, week and a half, that's how I've been like getting up in the morning. And I've been hitting this midday slump where like finishing my workday feels nearly impossible.
Yeah.
And then it's bedtime and I'm like,
woo, what am I going to do?
Yeah. Last night I was like, I'm going to go to bed early so that I can get up super early and just like get my workout done, make sure all my work is done. And I just laid there like wide awake. And I was like, this is
tragic.
So that's why Heidi was like, do you want to sip my energy drink?
Like,
I was
no.
like, no, I don't want to.
No. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. Like it's about to be that time of the month.
Mm-hmm.
So I am always a little bit more tired around then, but like I am really sleepy. I took a nap, guys. I don't ever nap, but I took a nap 2 days ago.
Did you wake up feeling refreshed?
Yeah. I felt fine. Well, I felt a little tired and then I was like, okay, I'm ready to roll. But I fell asleep on Max's beanbag. We were literally talking like he was working and I was working on the beanbag and I literally passed out on the beanbag.
Those beanbags are really comfy.
They are comfortable, but that's no excuse for me to fall asleep on that.
Well, if your body needs sleep.
I was like...
I saw the picture. You did not look like that. You looked cute.
What was your...
With your little iPad.
I was like... What was your high?
I don't know that... I feel like this week was just kind of like a boring week.
Not much happened.
Yeah. I mean, like, nothing's wrong. I feel like I'm gonna say that my high is Ryan coming back.
Oh, that's what I thought you were
naturally.
Gonna say.
Yeah,
naturally. I was like, that's what I thought she was gonna say. No, I agree. I feel the same way.
It's just like nothing.
How long has Ryan been gone?
He left yesterday at like 3.
Oh,
I took him to the airport. So I mean, it was like 48 hours.
Hey, I leave Max for like not even 24 hours, and I'm like,
No, yeah.
I'm so sad. I was like, I don't want to leave.
Well, and the dogs, that's actually my low. The dogs were getting haircuts yesterday. So, like, I came home and, like, not only was he not there, but the dogs. Well, I guess I picked them up. But I was just like, it's so quiet.
Yeah.
Like, I hate this. I'm always thrown off. I thought about you guys last night because I was like, how do they do this? Like, Taylor would go to Dallas. Like, I kept catching myself, like, looking over to talk to him. And then I'd be like,
He's not there.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah. I feel like it's more for Max than me because Max doesn't leave as much anymore because he used to leave a lot, like when he was doing the podcast and traveling for it. But no, I leave all the time. Max I think Max is fine because he's like, oh, I just play video games. But I get sad and I can't sleep when he's not around.
Me either.
And my parents, my sister and my mom were like, that's weird. And I was like, it's not weird. I just like, I feel safer and more secure with him. And like, that's my home. That's my safe space. And like, I can fall asleep with him.
Yes. Does Max like set the temperature of the bedroom and stuff?
Yeah, he makes it freezing.
Yeah, so does Ryan. But last night, that was the thing too, because I was like, I can't get comfortable. And I was like, maybe it's because he has like 5 fans on. And so I tried to do that. I couldn't get it right.
You're like, I need Ryan's touch.
Just counting sheep.
You're like, 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 600 sheep. I would have been like, at that point, I'm like, I'm just going to scroll TikTok.
Believe me, I did.
I'm like, at that point, like there's times like when I go to shoots and I like don't go to bed. And like, I try to like, I'm like, oh, I have to be up at like 6 a.m. And I like don't fall asleep until like 12:31. And I'm like, I go to bed every night here at 9:30. Make it make sense.
Yep. It's because you're thrown out of your like environment.
Yeah.
I was literally calculating like, okay, if I got up at 6, I'm like, and I fell asleep right now, like, because then I spiraled and was like, my cortisol's high. That's what it has to be.
Yeah. No, I really think it is. I don't know. Like, I need to get a blood panel. I need to see what's wrong with me. I also like need to figure out how you bring your cortisol down. I stopped I don't really drink caffeine like really early in the morning anymore.
Do you eat breakfast?
I eat like a protein bar.
It's still something.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. Our like weekly call with my clients was about cortisol. And like the biggest thing is not having caffeine first thing in the morning, like drinking water, having food, like exercising regularly, which you do. And your sleep cycles are normal.
Yeah, I get well over 8 hours of sleep.
There are supplements you can take, but I always say that's like a last resort.
Yeah, I think that's my last resort for surezies. No, I feel the same way. We are the same. We are one and the same at this point.
Well, I literally was like, am I just thinking that because Taylor's said that hers is? And then I'm like, well, because what happened was I was PMSing last podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's what this is. And then.
No, I'm PMSing this podcast.
Yeah. Well, and then like I was kind of just like in a down mood this week. And I was like, maybe like I'm just stressed out. I don't know. So we'll see. I don't want to jump to conclusions.
We'll see what happens to us. We'll let you guys know.
Yeah, we'll keep you in the loop.
We'll let you guys know in the next episode. Okay, so my low. What was my low this week? I think my low was just exhaustion. Like we came back from Miami on Monday, and then Tuesday I hit the ground running. Oh, we came back Monday. I hit the ground running. We went and worked out, and then we just had a lot going on. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just had a lot going on. Was working constantly, and like I think I was already exhausted from like the week before. And I normally have that Sunday to like mentally prepare and like get ready, like get my social battery back in check if we do anything for the weekend. And I didn't have that day to like do that, so I feel like I'm running on fumes right now, and I'm so tired. Like I'm sure people could see it in my eyes how tired I am.
Just emptiness.
Yeah, literally, there's nothing there.
No, I'm the same way. I want my like Sunday reset. Are you guys doing anything tomorrow?
We're like reorganizing, cleaning the house, and then we have a dinner with Max's realtor for the like commercial real estate stuff.
Peyton,
yeah.
Yeah.
We have dinner with him on Saturday.
I was
like, Max, what do we talk about? And he was like, I don't know, Taylor. And I was like, I don't know his wife. And he's like, you will find something to talk about. And I was like, I know.
You will.
But I always am like the type of person, like, I've never met her. I know nothing about her. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to say.
But that's how we were.
Yeah, but.
And you did great.
Thanks.
I'm not good at stuff like that.
I was stressing. I was like, I don't know what to say. I don't
You'll
even know.
be fine.
I don't know what to say to this woman. That's not going to dinner with them is my low, but my energy being low was my low. Dinner will be fun. But Sunday I was like, do not ask me to do a single thing. I'm sitting. I'm going to sit. And I'm gonna relax. I don't ever do that. Let's be honest. I'm not gonna be doing that. I'm gonna be cleaning.
You're doing that tomorrow.
Yeah, I know, but I will still clean. I will still do it. I'm that crazy person. Our maids came today, but I will still clean. I came back. I came into the house after they finished, and I still kept cleaning things.
Oh my God.
I'm OCD.
Yeah.
I have a problem. That was my low. My high is a very exciting one.
I'm listening.
Are you excited? My sister-in-law had her baby.
I've been literally thinking this all week. Just periodically, I'll be like, when did she have that baby yet?
Her water broke yesterday.
And you got to be there.
I didn't get to be there.
Oh.
So her water broke, and they were like, okay, like it's gonna take it's like a slower process than they thought. It wasn't coming as fast as they thought it was going to. And then it became, oh my goodness gracious.
Oh no. It's contagious.
I know. I thought I was gonna go, and I was supposed to be in there while she had her baby. But it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and like they were like, it's not happening right now. Like, don't feel like you guys need to come out. And then we get a text at like 4 a.m. She had her baby. Little Nolan. He has the most hair I've ever seen. And he's so cute. And he has a dimple just like me on the one side.
I need to see pictures. We definitely need to do pictures.
I'm like, he's so cute. I love him.
And she's doing well?
She's doing well. I'm like, let me see. Where's my text? Where's my group text? He's a big boy. He's 20 inches.
Oh my gosh. Oh, he is a big boy.
He's so big.
You got to get him his Build-A-Bear.
I got it today.
Did you?
I did. And he has a little sweat set on, and he has a little sweat set on, and he has a little Converse. It's super cute. I'm excited. I can't wait to see him. I think I'll cry. Max, I don't think has ever held a baby.
What?
Yeah, I'm so excited for him to hold this baby. He's like, what if it's...
Does he like kids? Like, does he do well with kids?
Yeah, he does really well with my niece and nephew and Asher.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, I really am excited to see him like with these little baby, because he's never held a baby. I don't know how he's gonna like react to it all. Yeah, he's like, what if I drop it? And I was like, you're fine. He's like, what if it slips out of my arms? I was like, it's not gonna slip out of your arms. I'm like, the baby's
Knowing
not...
Max, he'll go to like joke.
I know. The baby's not lubed up. It's not gonna be like oily. Like, I don't know what he was thinking. And he's like, what arm do you grab it with? And I was like, I normally put it in like my left arm. So like my right arm, which I use is like my dominant arm. So I will use to like lift things, get things. So I know like I can use that arm. And he's like, oh, like, okay. And I'm like, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier than you think it's going to be.
Yeah, I just think that's a man thing.
1,000% it's a man thing.
When Ryan met my nephew, he was, very little, and he had never really been around kids. And Caleb loved him, like climbed into his lap. And then when we left,
Ryan's like, why?
Well, and like Ryan is like he doesn't, I don't want to say he doesn't like kids, but he's very vocal about the fact that he's only going to like our kids. Like he's like, he just doesn't know how to act with them, I think. Yeah. And like it makes him uncomfortable. And especially then. And my sister took Caleb from him to like leave. And he was like screaming and like reaching me like, Ryan. And Ryan was just like,
right, take the child away.
Take him away.
No, I think Ryan will be a good dad.
He's going to be a great dad.
He'd be so good. And then I think Max is also going to be, Max is going to be the quintessential dad.
I think that you guys are going to be amazing parents.
We'll see what happens.
I know it.
I'm nervous. I think I'm meant to be a mother, but I'm very terrified to be a mother, if that makes sense.
Well, Ryan and I were just having this conversation. My sister always like talks about how like you never really feel ready. She's like, when you find out you're pregnant, you just like she's like, I can't explain it, but something just kicks on. Yeah. And like you're like, okay, we're doing this. But like to us right now, we're like, no.
I'm like, no, thank you.
I can't even take care of myself.
I'm like, look how exhausted I am right now. Imagine when I have a baby.
We've got time.
We have time.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
Hopefully. We'll see. We joked about a pregnancy pack.
Yeah.
We might.
We could.
We could do it.
It's always an option.
We like jokingly said like, well, not us, but like Christian and Max like jokingly, Christian's like, I need our kids to be friends with each other. And Max is like, yeah, like yours might be a year older. And he's like, no, same time. like on the same day. And I was like, that's like impossible. That's not happening.
That takes extreme organization.
They're like, they will be born on the same exact day. And I'm like, absolutely not.
That would be really cool though.
It'd be cool, but I'm like, nah.
I just think timing it up might be a little tricky.
Yeah.
At least like, I think being the same year is like, whoa.
Yeah, that's crazy. That'd be wild. I think their kid will be a year older though than ours.
Well, because they're, about to get married.
Yeah.
Tay still needs to write her.
Hanny or Heidi, if you're listening to this, please.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw you under the bus.
I have like an idea of what I want to say. I just have to put it down, and I don't think it's going to be that hard. I'll be fine.
No, you're going to kill it.
I'm excited.
I'm actually really excited because are they filming or no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be stunning. If I know them, it's going to be gorge. Mm-hmm. Their engagement party was insane.
Oh yeah, because wasn't that at Alpha Land?
Yeah.
And you had just gotten engaged?
No, I hadn't gotten engaged yet.
Or was it right before?
It was right before.
Okay.
I had not gotten engaged. That was like, their party was October 6th. I got engaged October 24th.
Okay, that makes sense because I knew that Max was going to propose that month. That was the hardest. Ryan was like, you cannot tell. You cannot.
I wonder if Heidi knew because Heidi can't lie. Like, Heidi can't hide things either.
Well, I just intentionally never brought it up.
You're like, I just won't see it.
I'm going to avoid the subject altogether.
She's like, I'm just not even talk about it. It doesn't exist.
Well, because it was when Max told Ryan when we were at Mastro's for Ryan's birthday dinner.
When I was throwing up.
And no, that was my birthday dinner. Because I said that. I was like, he was like, you told me at dinner. And I was
I'm like, when?
Taylor and I were sitting right there. What do you mean?
Oh, yeah, I didn't get sick at his dinner. That's right. Yeah, just yours.
We just were like gabbing away.
Yeah. We
were
in our own little circle. I love that for us.
Yeah, because then I social media stalked you guys that whole day.
I scream internally. I'm excited. This episode's going to be a little different.
Yes.
Just a little different. We talked about it last episode, and, I know we're just cutting right into it, but we're going to go into Sydney's family and talk about Sydney's mom.
Yes.
And we're going to learn about the beautiful woman that she was.
We should have brought tissues. I'll be okay. I won't cry.
I can text Max and ask him to bring some in.
I think I'll be okay.
Okay. Well, let me know if you ever need them. But do you want to like kick it off and like?
Oh gosh, I don't know. So for starters, I think the reason I want to do this and I'm comfortable doing this now is I've been thinking about my mom a lot and kind of like reminiscing on things because on Wednesday it is the 10-year anniversary of my mom passing away. So it's like a bittersweet thing. I think that's why I was kind of in a funk this week too.
Yeah.
But I actually had a literal meltdown like last weekend, I think. We were sitting on the couch and like about to go to bed and I just started sobbing and Ryan was like, whoa, like what? And I was like, I feel guilty because I never want to talk about my mom and I'm afraid that I'm going to like forget her. Like I don't want to like forget
those
like
memories.
The good things. Yeah. And I was like, I shut it out entirely. So Ryan was like, why don't you talk about it on the podcast? And then you said it today and I was like, okay. I don't really know like where to start.
Well, let's talk about like your life with her, like growing up. Like let's start there and like the good things. Like what is like one of your favorite memories that you remember about your mom?
I don't know that there's just one. I just think it was like she was always there and like literally my biggest fan. And so like whenever we lived down here, I would do like live guitar shows. Do you remember Candelari's?
Yeah.
The pizza. So like they had like an open mic night and I would go to those and like I would do the Rodeo Wine Garden. And my mom just like handled it so well. Like she was always there. I was telling Ryan this, like anytime I was there, like singing, she would like I could look out into the crowd and like she was always just like right there where I could see her. Like she wouldn't go to the bathroom. If I needed to like turn the page in my book, she would come up and do it for me. And she was just always there. And obviously I know growing up, I think one of the hardest things was that I was in the like middle of my angsty like teen, like I was 16. And so I was in that like rebellion stage, but like, I don't know, she was just like my best friend. And as I've grown up, I've understood, because I used to get really protective about being like, oh, like she should have disciplined me more. Like she should have.
Yeah.
But like she was just always my best friend. Like I remember one time she had given me a curfew. I was in high school and my best friend Jackie and I were like 10 minutes late per usual. I'm always like 10 minutes late.
It's just who we are.
And the reason I was late was because it was like this whole thing, like this girl that like I had talked to someone that she had dated and she had offered us a ride home. And I was like, I don't want to be rude because like already animosity there. So she drove us home, but I made her drop me off at a house that wasn't mine so that she wouldn't know where I lived. And then we walked the rest of the way.
The way home. Yeah.
I just didn't, because I was like, I don't really know what the vibes are.
You got to be careful.
Yeah. And so when we walk in, my mom is sitting at the bottom of the stairs. And like we like tiptoe in, like close the door, like quietly lock it. And I turn around to go up to my room and she's just like sitting there in her robe. And she was like, why are you late? And like I was like, Mom, like, you don't understand. It wasn't just like I was blowing you off or like,
not listening.
Like, not listening. I was like, I don't want to say the name, but like I was like, such and such drove me home, and she knew who she was, and she literally was like, oh my God, like come here, let's sit, let's talk. I'm just like not in trouble anymore.
She's like such a girl's girl.
Yes, like she was like, spill the tea, or like,
she's like, how'd you get yourself in this predicament?
yes, or like, okay, so my mom always like let me be who I wanted to be. So when it came to boys, I always liked the bad boys, and she never understood.
That's not changed.
No, it hasn't at all. It's just who I am to my core. I told Ryan that. I was like, you and my mom would so like jive, but she would not understand.
Yeah.
But I had this biggest crush on this boy. And he broke into my house.
Sydney, Sydney. We'll get back to your mom real quick. What? Sydney, excuse me? Where did you find this man?
Craziest story ever.
Wait, how old was he?
Okay, so I was a freshman. It was the summer going into my sophomore year, and he was, I think it would have been the summer going into his senior year. Because when I was in 6th grade, he was in 8th
like
grade.
17?
Yeah. I don't think...
Why the hell did he break in your house?
Okay, so backstory. Like I had a crush on him, and like he was in 8th grade and I was in 6th grade. And I mean, like he was like a disaster of a kid, like always in trouble. Do you remember like alternative school? Like he went to alternative school.
Yes.
And I just like, oh my God, I was like obsessed with him. And so then like he went to high school. I was in middle school still, forgot about him entirely. And then my freshman year, like first day of my freshman year, I'm walking down the hall and like we see each other, and we like had kind of like kicked off, started talking, whatever. And he didn't want to date. Like he did not want a girlfriend.
Nope, don't believe in that.
But I didn't want to like
talk.
Well, I didn't want like to do the benefits and stuff.
Yeah, of course not.
And so like it was just like a whole year of like we were like best friends. Like I would hear about him like talking to other girls, sleeping with other girls, but like he knew that I was like in love with him. Waited whole freshman year. I waited for him. And about the time that I was like, you know what? I am so fed up of like hearing about all of this stuff and like helping you. Like I would loan him money, all this stuff. I was in love with this kid. Like I thought I was going to marry him. And
Sydney, he broke in your house.
Okay, well, we're not. This is where. So, he showed. So I went to like on a vacation with my family. I was gone for like a month because I went to my dad. Like went on vacation with my mom, and then I went to my dad's. And, I went to Scotland with my mom for my 16th birthday. Well, because my mom was engaged.
Yeah.
My stepdad was from Scotland.
That's so fun.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I was really mad about it at the time because I was like, I'm going to miss my 16th birthday. But it's one of my favorite. That's probably my favorite memory was that trip. Like we would just explore. We went to London and Scotland, and we just like explored.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it was fun. And I could drink because they laws. But I told him, I lied about coming home because I didn't have service. I was in London, like I couldn't text. And I had been home for like 2 weeks, and I told him that I was still gone because I didn't want to see him. And he found out that I was home, like showed up at my doorstep, was like, I want you to be my girlfriend. Like I'm ready to like, I'm in love with you. And it was one of those like, oh my God moments because I said yes. And then I was like, I don't want this anymore. And so I waited till he left, and I Facebook messaged him and was like, hey, listen, like, I don't want to be with you. And he started blowing me up. So I turned my phone off.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like 3 a.m. This is the longest story ever. Sorry. So it's like 3 a.m. I'm with my best friend in my room, and all of a sudden I hear like the tapping of something hitting my window. Like my room was on the 2nd story, and, he's yelling, Sydney, I love you, and throwing rocks.
Sydney!
He's throwing rocks, and like some were just one, but some were like handfuls, like, and I'm scared. And then the fence was right there.
I'd be like, stop throwing rocks in my window.
And like I had a stepsister who was like 9 or 10 at the time. And so I'm like, he's going to wake her up. He's going to wake the whole house up. So I go downstairs, I call my mom and I'm like, hey, can you come out of your like bedroom? I need to talk to you. And she comes out and I was like, he's outside. He's like screaming, yelling. Can we just like do something about it? And all of a sudden we hear something in the kitchen. And he was literally hiding in the pantry. My mom walks in and literally turns her flashlight on. I hid and she shines her flashlight up in his face and she's like, what are you doing? And he was like, oh, I need to talk to Sydney. I need to talk to Sydney. I'm in love with her. And she was like, I could have shot you. She was like, you can't break into people's houses. And she's like, listen, you need to go. And like, she's scared. You broke into our house. You need to go. So he goes back outside, scales the house,
Sydney
climbs into my bedroom window. And my mom opens the shutters and is like, are you kidding me? That's one of my favorites too, because she was amused and she was like, listen, I really don't want to call the police on you, but I will.
like, don't make me do it. I will shoot you, but like, don't make me shoot
he's
you.
like, I just need to talk to her. And my mom was like, I hear you. Call in the morning. Like she doesn't want to see you. Yeah. So that was just like
She
the kind of
sounds
things.
iconic.
I can't even like, she was just a good time. She was a really good time. I'm trying to think of like crazy funny stories. She just always was like in that stuff. And it was in a way that like I was never afraid. If I was bad, like I would get in trouble. But she was always so entertained by what was going on that like she wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I
love that though. I love that she like knew about your life. I think that's really cool.
Oh,
like,
she knew
you
everything.
You got to like share those like parts of yourself. Like I feel like that's so unique and rare because like I feel like so many like high school girls and like middle school girls don't ever like, especially now, don't get to share those like moments with their mom. Like I think that's awesome.
Yeah, no, we had a code word where like if I was out doing something and I didn't want to be out anymore, I would text her pineapple. And she'd call me and pretend, like literally yell at me to the point that I'd be like, am I actually in trouble?
You're like, are we
I'd be like, is this for real?
are we joking?
Yeah.
Or we're still role playing. Okay.
Like I remember one time I was like, am I actually in trouble? And she was like, you said pineapple. Oh, okay.
You're like, I gotta go.
Like I had to make it realistic.
So what's like one of the things that like remind you the most of your mom?
Guitar.
Guitar?
Yeah. Well, and like my bedazzled guitar. You've seen it, right? Oh, girl. I have a Taylor Swift bedazzled. Like she went out.
You've told me, but I haven't seen her yet.
She hand set Swarovski crystals on the guitar, and like we had to insure it and stuff. But it was a Christmas present, and I remember it sat like on a table with like a sheet over it. And I knew it was a guitar.
Yeah, but you didn't know what it was.
And she wouldn't let me look at it. And on Christmas morning, I like opened it and like crawled into her lap and just like, I think it's just like my mom literally believed that I was going to be Taylor Swift. Like she was my biggest freaking fan. And like I was looking at her Facebook and like she still has like all my like albums, and I'm just like, ah. And also I found our Facebook messages, which was really cool, like last weekend. And it's just like funny to look back at our conversations. And like I was so annoying. Like I was telling her, that's why I was like,
you're a teenager.
I was crying and I was like, I just really wish that I understood, because I was just like I'd be like, make me breakfast or like stupid stuff.
You're her daughter.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, that's just kind of the name of the game. And like, I mean, I understand it because like I watched Max kind of go through what you are feeling. And I think it is good to like talk about it. I think it's good to like talk about what you went through and like the good times with your dad, thinking
that
about
him too.
But the good times with like your mom and like the things that you got to experience with her, and like you got to keep that memory alive.
Yeah, and that was, I think something for me that I struggle with is we weren't, I don't know if like Max's, like were they like a home video family? Mm-mm. See, we weren't either. And so I'm like, I have a few videos of her, but they're goofy videos.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to like, I don't want to forget the sound of her voice, or like this is kind of weird. But I was on Ulta looking at like scents and
The missing person perfume.
Well, is that a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I was looking and I saw what my mom, like I remember what it looked like all of a sudden when I saw it. It was like Ralph Lauren. And when I saw the bottle last weekend, I was like, Ryan, I want to go to Ulta. And like I wanted to smell it to see if I could like remember. I didn't. But I think I just miss like having, like she was my person, and I miss just like that. And so ride or die. Like I could be so in the wrong and she'd be like, no, like she just always had my back. And in private, she would tell me, but like she was like ride or die for me and my sister.
You are very much just like her in that way.
Well, thank you.
You are very much like her in that way. Like I think like your spirit of like, even if you're not in the business, you're not in the drama, you're like, let me in, like let me in, coach. But you also like even in our friendship, like you show up and you're like, nah, like if somebody does me wrong, like you say no. Like if somebody does Ryan wrong, you're like, absolutely not. Like if somebody even does Max wrong, you're like, absolutely not. But like you show up in that way, and that's like obviously like a huge part of her, like in you.
Yeah, and I guess I don't see it because like when I think about my mom, I think about like not that I don't think I'm a good person, but like my mom was just like to her core, like the saying "the good die young" like couldn't be more accurate. And my dad tells me that I'm a lot like her. My sister tells me I'm a lot like her, and I'm just like, I don't know.
I don't know her, but just like from what I'm hearing, you're very much similar to her.
Thank you.
And like you, as like Ryan and I will hype you up till the day we die, but like you are one of the greatest people on this planet. Like you just have a pure heart. Your heart is like that of gold, and like you're a very rare person to find. And like it's true though. Like you are just a good person, and like down to your core, like you never wish anything bad about like for anybody, and like you will go at lengths to support the people that you love, and like you will shield and like put yourself in harm's way for those people. And like this says a lot about you and your character.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, and I think I don't want to say I'm thankful for like how my mom passed away, but I'm thankful that it was quick. I don't mean to sound morbid.
No, but can we talk about how like, okay, so
because I do want to bring awareness to this.
Yes.
I was actually like looking into it.
How old were you?
I was 16.
How old was she?
44.
Okay.
Yeah, so
and then how what happened?
So the thing, and that was the most unfair part of it. So my mom initially was in the hospital because she had a TIA, which is like a mini stroke.
Okay.
And at the time, she didn't know, but she had had a couple. And so, like, one of the things that I really want to do, I think, like I told you in May, is like bring awareness so that, like, if something like that happens, you know what's happening. Because sometimes, and like advocate for yourself, because the first time it happened, my mom was putting dishes away and she had a wine glass in her hand, and she said her arm just went completely numb, and like she shattered the wine glass and was just kind of like, that was weird, and just like carried on. Not like nobody would think, oh, that was a stroke.
Yeah, you just were like, oh.
Yeah, and like she didn't know until they told her that she had the second one. Like she was like, oh my God, that's what that was. And the thing with the TIA is, if you have one of those, I want to say you're like 20%, there's a 20% chance that within 7 days you're going to have a massive stroke. So I was at softball practice because I played softball at the time. My sister was like calling me and texting me, and I was like, I can't answer the phone. Like, what's going on? And she was like, Mom's in the hospital. Like, you need to leave. And she was fine. Like it was so scary because she was literally fine. Like I got to the hospital, she was alert. She was her complete self. And they just explained that exact thing. Like, we're going to monitor you for like a couple of days maybe. And then they were supposed to do a procedure because I think they found the clot.
Yeah.
There is like parts of this that is really like weird for me because I just blocked it out.
It's blurry.
Yeah. So they were supposed to do a procedure. She was right there in Sugar Land. And they kept pushing it back because I don't really know. We were going to sue the hospital, honestly, but I was like, it's not going to bring her back. They kept pushing it back. And so like, and immediately it was like a Thursday. And then the following Thursday, like her mom came, my aunt came, and I hadn't been to school. Like I was like, I'm not going back to school until like Mom's out of the hospital. And she was doing great. Like it was such a shock. And we went to dinner in town center and came back, and literally I called my mom in the lobby of the hospital and was like, hey, we're getting in the elevator. Like we're about to be up there. We get in the elevator, and when we came out on her floor, the nurses were like running, and my little like stepsister and my mom's fiance were standing outside the room, and like she's crying. And I was like, we were like, what's going on? And my mom had a massive stroke. So at that point, like she was awake, but like I don't know, it was just bad. Like I could tell it was bad. I called my dad and I was like, hey, because my dad lives in Ohio. And I was like, Mom just had a massive stroke. And at the time, it still wasn't like, oh, she's going to die.
Yeah. You just were like, oh, she had a stroke.
Yeah. So they were transferring her to Houston. And my dad's like, do you want me to come? I was like, I don't know. Let me just like figure out like what the situation is. And at this time, my sister's like 4 or 5 months pregnant with my nephew. So she's freaking out because she's like, I can't, she's stressed.
Yeah, she has a lot going on.
And so like she had that stroke. They transferred her to Houston. She was recovering really great. She was like hooked up to stuff, so she couldn't talk, but she was very responsive. Like I remember walking into the room and I was crying, and like she looked over and saw me and like reached her hand out and like squeezed my hand. And the nurses, they were like, she's recovering so great. We never see this. Like by the end of the week, she'll be talking. And so my sister was like, listen, like you've been out of school for a week. You need to go back to school. Mom's going to be fine. So the next I go back to school the next morning, and like they pulled me out of class and they were like, hey, you need to go back to the hospital. And I'm like, okay. And like, they're like, I was like, what's going on?
You had to drive yourself to the hospital?
No. So I had a little stepsister and then a stepbrother who we both went to Elkins.
Yeah.
So my mom's fiance's parents were in town from Scotland because of all of this, and they pulled us out. So like they're like, hey, you need to go down to the front office. Like your grandparents are here. And I got down there and like Jack, my stepbrother, was there and the grandparents, and I was like, what's going on? And they were like, we don't know, but they said that like we need to get there as fast as possible. So we go, and when we get there, like my mom was in surgery and her brain had hemorrhaged. So we knew it wasn't good.
Yeah.
And like my mom's whole family, like her dad, like everyone was there. And it was kind of one of those things where like my sister and I are like, what do we do? Like, do we call dad? Because it's kind of like if he flies in. We also like, I didn't understand at the time how serious brain surgery was.
Yeah.
So
you
like,
were 16.
Yeah. Like, I'm just like, I don't know
You're a kid.
I'm like, what does any of this even mean? And
the severity of
you
it
also
all.
like, because this was kind of like a week thing, I was like, okay, well, like it's going to be fine. I remember like my sister and I like, I was like, do you think mom's going to die? And she was like, no, like, no. And so like we wait in the waiting room, and the surgeon comes out, and so matter of fact, which surgeons are very matter of fact. It's just like we did the surgery, like she hemorrhaged, and I forget exactly how he said it, but he was just like, the likelihood of her surviving this is very slim. And it was just, I was like, okay. And even then it was like, no.
Yeah.
no.
You're like, there's no way.
Yeah. And, so like she was in recovery and she was in the ICU, and when they allowed us to like go back, that was when like the reality set in, because like, not to sound like it's something that you can't explain until you see it. Like they had shaved her head, and like the thing is, like it was my mom's worst fear. Like we always talked about, like if you got cancer, like we would all shave our heads, because she was like, I can't not have hair. And they had shaved half of her head, and like she wasn't there. Like it was so,
it wasn't her.
No. And I remember like when we walked in, because nobody warned us. Like nobody was like, hey, it's really bad. And
I feel like they don't, though.
no, they don't. They're so cold. Like the surgeon, I remember when the surgeon said like the likelihood of her surviving this is like I forget exactly the wording, but like very slim to none. He said it, walked away, and like I literally like physically collapsed. My grandpa had to like pick me up, and they like put us in the grieving room, but like nobody explained to a child, like a 16-year-old kid. And like I get it, like it's the medical field, and I don't like they did the things that they could, but yeah, it was, I remember when we walked into the room, I walked in first, and my sister was behind me, and like I turned around and put my face in her chest, because I was just like, oh my God. It's like my dad came, and I remember everyone thinking that because my mom was on life support, and everyone thought like Sydney's gonna fight this, like Sydney's not gonna, like
she's not gonna allow
no,
this.
she's not gonna. And my mom, like everyone, it was just like a very mixed, like nobody wanted to say what we all kind of knew.
Yeah. And
so when my dad came, because he flew in that day, we went down to like the food court, and like he was just like, listen, like decisions are going to need to be made, and he was like, I want you guys to be the ones that make them, because she's your mom. Yeah. And like I was 16, so I technically couldn't make that decision, but my sister was an adult. And
but he's right though. Like,
yeah. Out
of everybody that like whose lives like she impacts the most, it would be you and your sister.
Yeah. And so, and I adore my dad so much, because the other thing that as I've gotten older and understood is like, he was hurting too. Like my mom was the love of his life. And he said that, like, I never stopped loving her. And like, he put on such a brave face for us so that like we could comprehend what was happening. But he basically was just like, listen, if you want to wait, if you want her, like if you want to fight and see, like we can. But it's just, this is another reason I've really struggled to like talk about what actually happened, because it seems really cold, but like we just knew like that she's gone, like that she's not, like
She wasn't there.
we're holding on to something and like she is gone. And the other thing is, I don't know, like this is morbid, but like the machines like sometimes make the body move, or like the hand squeeze. And so like that kind of messed with us. So we stayed up that whole night and basically we're like, let's just see what happens. And it was very, very clear that the machines were keeping her alive. So the next morning we sat down with the doctor and basically he talked to us about what everything meant, and brain activity and like what was going to happen. And I wanted more. I was like, I want proof that like she doesn't feel pain, she won't feel anything. And so he like, we did some like tests, like he squeezed her hand and like did things. And I think what brings me the most peace is that when we decided and like sat down and did all the paperwork and stuff, they took her off of the machines, and like her heart stopped beating 20 minutes later. So it's like she was like, I know that we did the right thing. And also like nobody would want to live like that. No. Like just because the machines are saying, but yeah. And then I think we like went to a hotel after that. We didn't even come back to Sugar Land. I was like, and I was in complete shock. I remember not like right now talking about it. I remember getting like my sister and I getting in bed in the hotel, and like neither of us cried. We just like sat, like laid there. And then my sister went and like had everything checked with Caleb, and we found out, because she didn't want to know what the gender was. And like we ended up finding out it was a boy, and kind of did that and like as like a sweet thing. And my mom did know that she was pregnant. So like Kelsey found peace in that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't
I just can't imagine like what it was like seeing that, being there, having to deal with that, like having to like truthfully like make that decision. Like, yeah, I don't know if I'd have the strength to do it. It takes a lot of strength and a lot of grace to do what you had to do and like to get through it. And like how did you get through it? Like what did you look forward to?
Well, I was really angry. Yeah. Well, because the other aspect of that was like my dad didn't live here. No. And there was not a choice. Like my stepdad didn't even offer.
Really?
He did not. He wanted, like my dad and him got into like almost a fist fight, because he was like, I'm not keeping her here. And it was like the spring of my sophomore year of high school. My dad was like let her finish the school year. And he was like, I'm not going to be
your stepdad was like, I don't want.
Yeah. And the thing, like my stepdad was not a good guy. We didn't know until after, like you see someone's true colors. But I understand, because I was a rebellious teenager. Like I think he was scared that I wasn't going to take him, like listen to him. Yeah. So I understood. And honestly, it was the best thing for me. But like my mom passed away on a Thursday. We had the memorial service, like at the funeral, we had multiple, because we had one down here and then like back home. But like a week or two later, I was living in Ohio. So not only did my mom pass away, but I had nobody around me that I knew. Like I had to go and like finish my sophomore year, and I was a massively angry, mean person because of it. Like I didn't want friends. I didn't want to make friends. I didn't want people to know that it had happened. Like I ate lunch, and my dad was my principal. So like I would go and eat lunch in his office, because I was just like, no, like I don't want this at all. And so I think that like that really is what made my sister and I so close, because like we leaned on each other. We really leaned on family. Yeah. And I think another thing that really saved both of us was Caleb, because like it was almost like the sweet, like bittersweet thing of my mom passing away in March, and then in August he was born. So we were like, oh, like here he is. Like let's like love him. And my dad genuinely like saved me, because he took on, people are like, your relationship with your dad is so strange, but he just so heavily leaned into the mom role.
He took on both roles.
Yes. And like, so there's like things that I talked to my dad about, and people are like, what? And I'm like, he's so understood that he had to do both of those things. And yeah, I just,
it's good for you to talk about that.
I know it is. And
I'm happy that you're doing it. Like,
I feel good that I'm doing it. It's just one of those things where like I tell the story and I'm just like, I don't like that's.
I get
so
it.
That's what happened.
No, and I think it's so important too, because I think it's like most women, like the one thing, health problems that most women don't even talk about is like cardiovascular health. And that's actually like how most women die.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's crazy to think about because like, women don't think about it. When you think of a stroke, you think of a man. You don't ever think of a woman.
No, and that young. And I will say that hormonal birth control pills are a big risk factor. That's why because I was on like birth control, and after that happened, I was like, no. And the birth control that my mom was on got recalled because so many women had strokes.
That's insane.
So I've seen even, do you know Kendall Stafford? She went to Ridgepoint. She played softball.
I think so.
I think that was her name, Kendall Stafford.
Sounds familiar.
Kendall, she had a stroke when she was like 18, and it was around like right around the time that all of this happened. And I remember just being so amazed by her because she was like, she became an advocate about it. And I, like, now that it's been enough time and I can actually talk about it, like I want to do that. Like I want to raise awareness and like, yeah. So
I'll help you in any way possible.
And so like I was looking at, cause I wasn't like, nobody was with my mom when she had her stroke. But
yeah, where did she had the stroke in the hospital?
Well, her TIA that she had, she was at work.
Yes.
So based on what the person she was with told us, sorry, I want to look up these signs.
No, you're fine.
She was like, they were having a conversation. I can't remember. I think my mom was sitting at her desk and her friend was like standing talking to her. And like, it was like my mom lost her train of thought. So she just seemed confused for a second. And then like it was like she couldn't remember what word she wanted to say. And then she was kind of struggling to talk, but it wasn't enough to be like alarming. And then I do think that the side of her face drooped.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where like my mom remembered all of it. When we talked to her, she was like, yeah, it was frustrating because I couldn't remember what I wanted to say. And then like I couldn't say the words, and she didn't feel her face drooping. And thank God she was with someone.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, okay, so it's a transient is ischemic attack. So warning signs, and I've seen girls post on TikTok and be like, this happened to me, and I'm like, that's a TIA, like you need to go to a doctor. So it's weakness, numbness, or paralysis on one side of your body, slurred speech or difficulty understanding others, blindness in one or both eyes, dizziness, severe headache with no apparent cause. And then you should like obviously get help within 24 hours, assessment and symptoms and medical history. They'll do imaging of your blood vessels and your head and neck to make sure that there's no clot, and if there is, they'll clear it, which is what my mom that was what they were supposed to be doing. But I think the most important thing, and there was a point in time where I was really angry with Sugarland. Is it Methodist?
I don't know. It's the one right here, right?
Yeah. I was angry because I was like, if they hadn't pushed it off, like this wouldn't have happened.
This couldn't have happened.
Well, because it was like this whole like they knew that she was high risk, so I think they had her on blood thinners. And then when she had her massive stroke, because they didn't go in and clear that clot because they pushed it back, when they did that, that's what caused the hemorrhage because she was on blood thinner. So it was just, I'm like, so much of you should have known better.
Yeah.
But
no, that happened. So my dad was in the hospital not this past October, but the October before, and he has AFib and had like a stroke, like pass out in the middle of my parents' house. And like my mom and my sister found him, like he went to the restroom and like he was gone for like 10 minutes, and they were like, where's dad? And like found him like passed out on the ground, and like they found clots, and I think they took them days to like, he was in the hospital for like 3 weeks, and like they like took them forever to like get rid of the clots. And I'm sure like we obviously know nothing about doctors or nurses or like protocol, but it's like hard to watch them when you're like, this is like causing them issues, and like it's crazy to see.
Well, and like I know that, I'm sure, because I want to say that there was like another emergency the first time they pushed it back, but they pushed it back multiple times. And had we known at the time, like, oh, if we keep pushing this back, she's at higher risk, like we would have pushed for it. But we were under the impression that she was fine.
Yeah, they were like, everyone's like, yeah, she's okay.
Like it's great. She's recovering great. And then like all of a sudden, and I remembered like she wanted a specific dessert from Aura in Town Center. Is that what it was called? Aura. There was a restaurant. whatever.
Aura.
Yes.
Aurora.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was on the corner where
Yes.
Bar Louie is, because that's where we went.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Hey, can you guys get me like whatever dessert it was?" And that like I called her, and I was just like, this is so. I'm just like, she needs her dessert. Like,
We gotta get her. We gotta get her.
Guys, my coping is to joke, so please.
Yeah.
Just like her dessert.
No.
I want to. Okay, so, and they call it FAST as the warning signs. So F is face drooping, A is arm weakness, speech difficulty, and then T is time to call 911.
That's so smart. I feel like we should have a doctor on here. Maybe in May.
I would love that, because I don't know.
Or like maybe we could have May, Max's sister-in-law, who's a nurse that like knows all these signs.
I thought that's what you were saying. We'll have May in May.
No, we'll have May in May, but like maybe I was like, I don't know any doctors that like, I know doctors, but I don't know any doctors that work like cardiovascular. But
I would love that.
May would know a lot about cardiovascular.
If any of you, yeah.
If you know
I would
anybody,
love.
yeah, we'd love to have a doctor, especially if we want to do everything you want to do in May and like do something for like your mom and whatnot. I think that'd be very, very special.
I would love that. Yeah, because I don't. That was the other thing. I was like, Ryan was like, you should talk about it on the podcast, and then you had said like, I think this would be so good for you, and I was like, I don't want it to be like an attention thing.
It's not attention at all, and like, Sydney, like this is something that like affected your life.
I
that
know.
like truly made you where you are and like made you who you are. And like, honestly, like there's so many women that don't know anything about this, and there's so many women that don't understand like that some of these things that are going on like are things that they're dealing with. And so it's so important like you advocate for this, because like you truly went through it, like you saw it, like you're living like from what happened to your mother, and like there's no better like form of advice than yours. Yeah. Like when it talks about going through things like this, and like there could be people that like need to hear this and need to listen to like, oh, like she got through it. Like I'm going through something similar. Like I can like lean in and like listen.
And I will say that is like, even I just want people to understand, because at the time it was like, oh my God, like my whole entire world was collapsing. I was so mad and angry. And I thought that like, first of all, I never thought that I'd get into a place where I could talk about it. But I also just like never thought there was, and it's not like a piece of me is missing, but I thought that I would never be okay again. And I almost like, am like, okay, well, like I want to make my mom proud. Yeah. And just like make life as amazing as it possibly can be, so that when I do see her again, I can be like, you see all that, you know? Yeah. And
she's watching you. She probably is so proud of you. You're doing everything you want to do.
Yeah. And that was also like a big part of coming back to Texas. Ryan and I were talking about, because I was like, I didn't have a say in leaving, and I like.
You loved it here.
Yeah. And I was just like, I need to go back. And like, I just have little things of like my mom, like memories of my mom around here, and just like everything was here. So I don't know. I miss her every single day, but I don't know. I think that I find peace in knowing that I was lucky enough to have the time that I did, and that I wouldn't be who I am. Yeah. And I always say this is like one of the things I say is like the most important lesson that I ever got from my mom was like essentially like how to be strong enough and brave enough to keep going without her. And like she taught me that. I know that like I couldn't have gotten through it without her giving me that strength.
And so what did you lean into when you needed that strength? Like when you were going through it, like those first like couple months, that first year, like those first years, even now I can't imagine, but like how, like what do you look at to like get through it all?
Well, I actually, now I write her letters. Like I wrote a poem about basically the whole situation, and because it's like, this is such a monumental like anniversary. Yeah. Like I'm like 10 years, which is insane. I wanted to kind of like deal with it, because the truth is I don't think I did. Yeah. I think I very much so was just like, it's okay. It's fine.
You shut it off.
Yeah. Like I don't want to feel it. I do remember vaguely, like, this is kind of weird, but I'll share, because it brought me comfort. My mom was cremated, and we still have, my sister has her ashes, because we're eventually going to like spread her. Yeah. We have like necklaces and like her thumbprints and stuff.
You should do what I told you with the diamond.
I want to do that. Yeah. I want to do that.
It doesn't take much.
Yeah, it's not a lot at all. I actually talked to my sister about that because she didn't know. And
Yeah.
so I was like, we can do this. And she was like, I don't want to see the ashes though. And I was like, well, I don't either.
No, you don't have to. So like you give them the box, they'll handle it, and then they'll give it back to you.
Yeah, because I think it's like depending on like what you want, like half a cup or like a fourth a cup.
Yeah.
But because we want to spread her, we're gonna make a big trip out of it. Like we're gonna go somewhere special and do that. My sister and I have agreed that we don't need to like sit at a site to talk to her. Like we talk to her all the time.
Yeah, she's always there.
Yeah, and we write her letters. So we just kind of came to that literally like last year. But I remember that I would take my mom's like urn and like sit it next to my bed, or like my sister told me I did this. I don't remember doing it, but she said that I would like if I was really, really sad, I would like put her in the bed, like the urn in the bed, and just like next to me, not like cuddle it. That's kind of, but like I would just keep her close to me. And like because my sister and I have had like a lot of heart to hearts, and like she remembers things that I don't, and I remember things that she doesn't.
Chase and Max are.
Like, and so like we had like a sit down and we just like talked about things. And we're like, oh my God, yeah. And she was like, do you remember doing that? And I was like, no. And she's like, I never said anything to you because
you were coping.
Yeah. She's like, I didn't want to make you feel like you should be ashamed or embarrassed that you did that. Like, she's like, you were a teenager.
You should never. I would probably do the same thing. I would have it next to me. I'd be like, I'm taking her.
I'm like,
everywhere.
I don't remember doing that. But we do also, and I know that people are going to say this is bad because like the planet, but we always release balloons on the anniversary. We'll write messages. And I will say, bless him, Ryan last year, like did it with me. Like he was like, I'm going to write your mom a message. And like so he does it with me. I was going to say something.
Do you think your mom brought Ryan into your life?
I never thought about that, but maybe she did. I wish.
She knew you loved a bad boy.
Yeah. She's like, look at this man. I didn't want to live in Ohio anymore. And she was like,
yeah.
Oh my God, they would have gotten along so well because one thing about my mom was she was so sarcastic. She had a really dry, like sarcastic sense of humor, and she loved.
She's us.
Yes, no, exactly. Like she would fit right in.
The amount of times you were like, my mom would wear that, and I'm like,
yeah,
my black jacket. You're like, your jacket reminds me of my mom, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, she was a queen.
I love that. I'm proud
trying to
of
think.
you.
Thank you. I did think about. Actually, never mind. I don't want to do that.
No, say it.
Well, because I asked Ryan about this. I was like, I could read the poem, but I don't want it to get like stolen. I was like, how do you copyright something like that?
That's a Max question.
Yeah.
We'll
revisit that.
We'll revisit it in May. We'll save it for May when you do your whole thing.
Yeah, because that one actually will make me cry. But thanks for letting me vent.
There was a moment where I was like, we're about to both just start bawling. I was like, oh gosh.
Well, because it was when I was talking about how she looked, because I don't remember it. I know it was so bad.
You blacked it out.
Yeah, but like when I talk about it, I think what bothers me is that it was my mom's like worst fear. I'm like, of course. Like it couldn't just be like my grandpa, when he passed away, he was golfing. Like he literally made a stroke and like went back to the golf cart and just like, and I was like, okay, you know what an iconic way to go out, because he lived on a golf course. He golfed every single day.
Yeah.
And then like you have my mom, and I'm like, it was like, you had to shave her head. We bought her a wig.
I would have too.
Yeah.
I would have been like, you mother truckers, you better put some hair back on this head.
Yeah. And like, we literally just like.
If I don't look fabulous when I die, I'm coming after. I'm haunting everybody.
No, I want someone to put a fresh coat of self-tanner on me if I'm pale when I die.
Same. Honestly, same.
We did though. Like we didn't let the mortician or whatever like do her makeup and stuff. We were like, no, we're going to do this how we want to do it.
Yeah. I love that.
But yeah. And I will say, like, I joke about it only because I just like, I cope. Ryan gets upset with me.
But Max is the same. You and Max are two peas in a pod because y'all are the same way. And like, that's how he handles like trauma and stress. And like Max and I had a very deep conversation about his dad passing, because Max was about the same age. He was 15, but like his was obviously like
really long and drawn out
because his dad had ALS. But there are so many things where Max is like, I don't remember anything. Like when I think of when I think of myself as younger, he's like, I think of myself as like Jeep Max. That's when I was living with my mom. And like after his dad's death, like he doesn't think of anything before that. And he's like, when I think of like Roanoke, I think of like my dad and my brother, and that's it, and like the woods. And he's like, I don't remember anything that really happened. I don't really remember like his dad's wife, like his stepmom. And he's like, he spent I think like 10 years with them, but he like doesn't remember any of it, and he blacks it out. And I'm like, Max, that's like a form of like trauma, is that like you black out all those memories that like you went through because like you don't want to feel that pain, like you don't want to go back there, you don't want to revisit it. And I was like, I think it's very important that like you do talk about it, you do go back there and you do think about it, because like that was still a huge part of your life, and like there's only certain ways that you can affect trauma, and like it is affecting him subconsciously.
It does. Well, I learned in therapy, like,
Well, he's never been.
very recent, like in 2022, I went to therapy because of something else entirely.
Yeah.
And I was like talking to I was like, yeah. And, you know, my mom passed away when I was 16, and like, I kept going, and the therapist was like, wait,
Yeah.
what? And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, like old news. Like, I was trying to like brush past it, and she was like, no,
We need
she's
to talk
like,
about that.
everything that you're talking about right now, like that explains all of it, because I like for a long time had struggled with female friendships, and she was like, you felt like your mom abandoned you.
Yeah, and she was your best friend.
Yeah. She's like, you like, even though you know that she didn't choose.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
And so like, it did make sense. And the human brain is crazy. The fact that
holds on to
your brain,
everything.
but the fact that your brain can know, like, we're not going to remember this. Like,
Yeah.
this is so traumatizing. We're just not even.
Block it out.
Because I didn't, like, at the time, I remember being scared that I was going to remember my mom like that.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when my sister and I went in and said goodbye, like, Kelsey was like, we promise we won't remember you this way. And I was like, there's no way I'm not going to remember this. And I do not, like, I know it was bad. I vaguely, like, I just can't see it.
You can remember it being bad, but you don't remember what it looked like.
Like, if I saw it, it would,
You
like,
you blocked it out because it hurt you that badly.
yeah. So it's just crazy. And like, I don't know if like Max has this because his dad was sick for a lot longer, but like, I remember my mom healthy. Like, I do not remember any of that.
I think he remembers his dad being healthy, but he does definitely remember his dad being sick, and he's like, he wishes that I think he would be there more.
Yeah.
And like have more time with him, have more photos with him, because he really only has photos with him when he was like young.
Same. Yeah. And you don't think about it.
Yeah.
You just don't
I don't
even.
like have any photos with my mom. My mom hates taking pictures. Janice, I know you're listening to
Your
this.
mom is absolutely stunning.
I know. Janice, I know you're probably listening to this, and your booty is, I was going to call you a bitch ass. It's so wrong. I'm so sorry. Your booty is taking photos with me. You bet your bottom dollar.
I will say, like, I know that not everyone's family situation is the same, but like your parents are the most important people in your life. And just like, my regrets are a lot of like, I was in the middle of my rebellious, like, it's not cool to be close. Like, I was starting all of that. Like, it's not cool to be close with your mom. And like,
yeah.
Like, knowing what I know now, and I've said this so many times, like, if I could go back knowing what I know now, like, I would do so many things different, but then, like, it wouldn't have played out. Like, it just wouldn't be the same. Like,
Yeah.
it would affect everything. And,
Everything happens for a reason. And I even said this to Max too. Like, he's like, I don't understand, like, especially because Max's dad was very religious.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I don't understand how somebody can love God so much and like God take him away. And I was like, God needed him for something that like we don't know, and like God needed him more than we needed him.
yeah. And there was a quote that I read, I forget exactly how it goes, but it was like the prettiest flowers die. Or like, when you pick a flower, you always pick the most beautiful one. Like,
Yeah.
why? Yeah. And that, because I was the same way. I was like, I just don't, like, there are bad people in the world.
Like, why? Like,
Yeah.
my mom was such a good person. And it's like, you'll never understand it, and you'll never, like, you can try to, but like, you're never gonna. And it's like, you have to remember, like, she's still there. She's still watching over you, and she's still gonna be with you through all of your life's adventures. And like, she's there watching you succeed. She's watching you be in love and like have kids one day. And like,
yeah.
you're doing everything you do for her.
I really, really do. And I think that's what brings me peace, is that I know, like, I don't, like, am I the greatest person to ever exist? No.
Yes.
But I know that I know that I'm a good human being. And I'm not that I was a bad human being back then, but like, it genuinely does shape you and make you the
I
person.
think it's just why you show so much love. You show so much grace to people. Like, you treat people truly with kindness because of it.
Yeah. I just never like want the last conversation
To be bad.
to be bad. Yeah. And I just also seeing how like celebrated my mom was and like the people that came together and were like, oh my gosh, especially like when we went, because we did a service in West Virginia where like she grew up, and I was like, I want that. Like I want the memory of me to be exactly how like everyone was like, she was the greatest person ever. She was so like giving, and
It will, because you are that way.
oh, thank you.
You are her.
Yeah. I guess I don't know. My dad's like, you're just like her. I'm like, okay, well,
It's good though.
I do take it as a huge compliment, but
Well, I wish I could have met her.
me too. And this brought me a lot of peace. I can't explain it. I know I just rambled, but
No, I think this was very good for you. I loved it.
and it's
I did-
on the record.
I cried a little bit.
Yeah, I tried really hard not to. I think being in a good mood and like the fun we had before we started recording helped.
Oh,
If I
yeah.
just came straight over here, I would have bawled
I
my eyes
am
out.
thinking now what my post is going to be about, because normally I do like, I'll post like those silly reels of us. I'm not doing that. So we need to think of what we're going to post.
We could do. I do have some
Do you
stuff
have a
with my
photo?
mom. Yeah.
Like I was like maybe photos like as a post, because I'm not going to post the reel that we just made.
Probably shouldn't.
Of me
But
climbing.
it is, you guys, on a more positive, like lighthearted note, Taylor and I made the most iconic content before we started recording.
Yeah. Yeah. If Max saw, he probably would have yelled at us.
Yeah.
We made him rest.
There was a little bit of a risk that Taylor took.
Just a couple risks. Just a couple.
Anything for the content.
The pushing of the cart.
The climbing, all of the climbing. Just wait, it'll be there.
You'll see it. I'm like,
I know, this has been a really long, I feel like I
it
talked
started
a
at
lot.
6. No, I think this is great. We were going to get into advice, guys, but honestly, I think we should leave it off as this. I mean, Sid, thank you for sharing your story.
Thanks for listening. I hope that I
People,
hope it makes sense.
it does make sense, and people are going to be so like blown away and enamored by like your strength and like vulnerability and the grace you had, and like I think it's really important for you to be an advocate for this. Like I'm somebody that's like, I support causes that like one, I go through, but like two, like causes that are so near and dear to like people's lives and like don't understand the risk of it. Like it's so important to like stand behind that and be a champion for it. And I think you have such a platform and you're giving yourself such a platform to do it. And like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I agree. And I think because like I know what the experience was like it could save people's lives. It genuinely could.
It could, and it's in your mom's memory.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I don't know how to go about doing something like that, but I'd love to start.
I can help you.
Yeah, I want to do something like that.
I have a lot of organizations we can work with, but if you want to do something like for you, like that you create, I can also help you with that. Or you can we'll work on it and we'll bring you guys along.
But I will say, since we're not doing advice, if like you guys have questions or like you're going through something similar, I am happy to answer questions. Now that it's all out in the open, I'm usually like, oh, I don't know.
No, I think it's good. I think it's good to have somebody.
I'm sweating.
It's okay. I promise you. And it's cold in here right now. But I think it's important that like people can listen to this that are probably going through something similar or the same thing. And like they have somebody that they can like go to for advice.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. And I'm always here.
I think this is really good for you.
Thanks for letting me do it.
Of course.
Taylor told me earlier, she's like, I think that'd be really good. And like all day, I was like, oh.
When she texted me, she's like, what do you want to talk about? And I was like, honestly, what I want to talk about, I think like is going to be a good conversation. I think that would be a great conversation to have. I was like, but if you feel comfortable.
Well, and also like you didn't know. So like even like, yes, we're recording, but you didn't know like the story. Ryan didn't know until 2021. Like literally, we never talked about it. Didn't know the story. So I did the same thing with him. I just like laid it all out. It was like story start to finish. There you go. But I will, yeah, if you guys like need advice and I will say like if you've recently lost someone you love or are fighting something, like you absolutely will be okay. And even if you don't know the reason.
Yeah, I agree. I've lost people in my life and it's hard.
Death is so hard.
It's so hard, but you have to remember that they're in a better place. And, you know, I know that my angels are watching over me, and I thank God every day for that.
Yes. And I always am like, my mom was one of God's favorites. Like he wanted her so bad.
He wanted her.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of you.
Thanks for listening.
Of course, I love you.
I love you so much.
I'm like, give me a hug.
Yeah.
Give me a hug.
Sorry, I'm sweaty.
It's okay. I still love you. Come here. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm so glad I didn't cry.
I think I'm gonna cry now. I'm like, I gotta let go. Okay, guys.
Okay, guys.
That was it for this episode. Sid, thanks for everything. We love you.
I love you guys. I love you so much.
I love you. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications. Comment down below what you guys want to see.
Yes.
Share your stories. If you guys are going through something similar or you guys need advice, feel free to reach out to us.
Absolutely.
Give us 5 stars on
Spotify.
like the channels. And make sure you're following us on Instagram. They'll all be tagged down below. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time.
You.
Bye. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks.
That was
I feel
so
like
good.
I blacked out hard on that.
No, that was so good.
You better talk nice to me. I'm in your head. I invest. That's a short-term fee. Got it locked. I'm the best. Well, at least that's what I think. Give me props when I rap. If you want,